Hi, this video is about how to identify AI implementation opportunities within your organization. My name is David Hood, and I'm the CEO of 42 Robots AI, where we help companies build custom AI solutions within the organization to really take advantage of this new technology. I do highly recommend you also watch, or maybe even before you watch this, stop for a second and watch the new capabilities created by large language models. I'll put a link to it below, because there's a lot of new things that couldn't be done before that just like 2 years ago that we're able to do now, and this is not a common list. A lot of people have a very narrow view of what AI and large language models can really do, and if you kind of pull it out a little bit, it helps identify and scope out opportunities. So especially when you cross it with what is the knowledge work that needs to be done at your organization, and you look at new capabilities and you kind of cross these lists, this can have a huge effect on, oh, okay, we could do this, we could do that, we could do that. Because the new capabilities is definitely not just, most people I think about it in terms of like chat, content generation, and maybe summarizing articles. And there's a lot more that AI can do, and it's a lot more nuanced than just those things. And part of that is that most people are thinking about AI in terms of using ChatGPT or using Claude, like in terms of just directly using the chatbot. And while that definitely has a lot of opportunity, and it's a lot easier to kind of get something like that up off the ground, custom development of solutions is it's like 100x the possibilities there in terms of what you can do and the benefits you can get from it. Because the problem with the chatbots in itself, and there's another video that I recommend you watch, which is the bad AI architecture video. I'll put a link to that below as well. Where most people think about AI solutions as just kind of basically within kind of the chatbot framework, where the model is the solution and the solution is the model. But if you think about it, in my mind, the correct way, the amount of possibilities and your ability to solve problems just is way, way, way better. And that's where it comes to custom development. And this is mostly like Python developers. Sometimes there's some JavaScript people. You don't have to, there's not like one single language that this will work for, but generally it's probably going to be Python. You can build pretty simple, quick scripts that do a lot really quickly. Not really a super big fan of a lot of like the no-code tools, although sometimes those can help get you off the ground as well. But just know that your ability to do, you can do at least 100x more with custom development. There are security considerations, especially with chatbots. They may use your data to train. With the custom development, you're calling the API. They do, they tend to be, at least claim to be more secure in that, and not training on that. Also, when it comes to like compliance type stuff, again, you definitely don't want to be putting like private health information into a chatbot. But with custom development, there are some options to make that much more, let's say, HIPAA compliant or something. Here's another really, really critical thing that this is something that I've gotten a lot of pushback on, and people think one thing about how to like utilize data when they don't have the right data set. So really what the best thing for working with AI is sample good ins plus outs. I was talking to somebody the other day, and she was saying she basically had like a training manual that she wanted me to use to train things. And I was like, well, but actually they had sample and outs, but it was like a little bit of work for them to kind of gather that together and give it to me. And she was very resistant to doing that. And she was like, no, you just need the training manual. And it's like, no, this is not a human. We're not training this with human. You need the complete data set. And sometimes these in and outs can be split up into multiple parts, and there's like 5 different parts. And if you have 4 of the 5, a ton of them, and then the 5th part is in Joe's head, then that's going to be a really big problem. You're missing a key piece. You need all the pieces of the puzzle. Data completeness is actually very important. So if you're looking to scope out an opportunity and you don't have, you're missing a key piece of the data, but you have a slightly worse opportunity, but you have the data completeness, then go after that one, the latter one first. Scope creep. Okay. There's another part of this that's really critical, which is like thinking about this very long term, or maybe not even just long term, just like midterm, just over the next like 1 to 2 years. The organizations that work to integrate AI are going to start to really go way ahead of the organizations that don't. It's just, there's too many broad applications for large language models. Just about every business process and just about every business can be enhanced by large language models. It's just a fact of, even at the level right now, we don't have to wait for GPT-5 or GPT-7 for a lot of this benefit to be gained. Additionally, it needs to be like an organizational muscle. This is sort of like if you envision like people using email or people using, think about any modern technology that has been pervasive in the business world. You can't just like say, it takes time, but to build and to understand this, and this is more complex than email. There's not really, like email at least had like a framework of mail to kind of fit on, so it's more easily understood. So part of this is also setting your expectations to be like, okay, you're not gonna get hit at home runs with every single project, especially right out of the gate. That is not what you're looking to do, and if that's what you're expecting, then you're gonna set yourself up for failure quite a bit, because this is again new stuff. It's a new type of technology that works very differently than what it seems on the surface or what people would have expected from AI. And so it takes a lot of mental framework and systems within an organization to really get this kind of going on a very big scale. But the benefits will be worth it, because again, it's really the difference between surviving and not, or thriving or not. Maybe you could survive as a company without implementing AI, but I'm guessing that I think that it's a very strong possibility that your organization will be a shell of what it could be versus with this. So, if we look even further ahead, like let's say 5 years from now, if your competitor is putting the energy and effort into this over time, they are going to crush you. There's very little doubt about that. And so, don't think that you just try the first project. If it doesn't work perfect, well, then AI sucks. No, there's so many pieces of this puzzle where it has to actually be weaved into the business. It's not just hire a guy who can code in Python and use and call the APIs and then just throw them at a project. You actually have to think about what makes sense within the business. How does this system work together? How does this affect upstream and downstream? There's a lot of nuance here, and it has to kind of spread through the organization. Also, there's evolving tools. So there's every day there's new tools popping up on how to leverage AI, and maybe you're building tools within the organization. Maybe you're building systems that take time to kind of adjust and realize, oh, when we did this, it actually went this, even though we expected that. There's a lot of that you'll need to work on. Evolving understanding. I have not seen very many people talk about some of the key things that I see with regards to understanding how to leverage LLMs as tools. Again, most of the money and most of the talking heads out there about AI are talking about how to train AI models, how to train, how to fine tune, how to put the solution in the model. And very few work or time and energy or money is being put into, let's kind of take a step back and look at the LLMs as tools and how do we use these tools. It's like, saying the difference between the guy who builds the race car versus the guy who drives the race car. These are two different skill sets. And so this understanding is not pervasive right now. And so this is something that takes time and that there's still, while I think I have a lead on certain aspects of that, there's still way more things that I don't understand. There's still a lot of nuance that I don't think anybody really understands yet. Even OpenAI sometimes talks about how the model does something that they didn't expect. I think you also need to have essentially a champion at your company. And if you can afford a full chief AI officer, definitely highly recommended, because the difference between having a chief AI officer and not is you'll end up with a lot of this stuff just not happening, because any organization of any size, it kind of has it has a little bit of resistance to any movement. And they all tend to be kind of focused mostly on their narrow problems. And even if you look at like a CEO trying to like push this down because he's looking at the business as a whole, it still kind of is hard to get that to move the needle, especially if the CEO does not really understand how to leverage LLMs as tools, which I would say that probably almost every CEO that would cover. Now, we do offer fractional Chief AI Officer services. I'm fractional Chief AI Officer for one company right now, and I'm championing stuff. And I have to be the squeaky wheel because it has to be cross-functional, cross-departmental, and this is really, really important to help push these things forward. And then some of these things are very general. Like I've created a training course for them that they can give to their whole organization that helps them go deeper into new capabilities, how to scope opportunities, and really, really with the objective of making this organizational muscle really go a lot faster for them. And so this is what you need with AI. Everybody's how AI is going to affect one guy's job can be very different than another guy's job. And likewise, I would like to think that at organizations, people should want this because it's not that AI is necessarily going to take people's jobs. There's a little bit of that, but I think more what's going to happen is the people that use AI and learn how to use these for their jobs to make them better at their jobs are going to beat out the people who don't. And so I think this would be a really valuable thing for any company to say, hey, we have AI training. We'll help you get better at your job with AI. We'll help you, having a champion who understands that and who can even work with some people on a one-on-one basis and go over their work and have somebody to bounce questions off of. Somebody who also kind of keeps their beat on the pulse of the AI industry. This is something that is, I think, really important. Again, just think about the value that AI is going to provide to organizations over the next 10 years is so high that I think this is justified. Okay, just a few kind of lenses to look at things through. So I've talked about new capabilities. You can kind of print out the list of, I can't remember how many there are in there, 10 or 12 new capabilities, and just kind of when something needs to get done, you go, okay, does anything in this task set, is it covered by these new capabilities? And let me try, it is, okay, it's data analysis. Okay, let me try using AI in some way and see what happens. There's also a productivity and efficiency lens. That's a lot of what, especially for knowledge worker, what AI will do large language models will do for people. They'll make people more productive and efficient. And this has been demonstrated with MIT studies already. And that's just with ChatGPT. That's not even with custom solutions that I think can really take that to another level. You can also automate things that you couldn't automate before. Now, I would recommend, here's my recommendation is to not try to fully automate things with AI. So if you look at Tesla's full self-driving scales of automation, they have 0 to 5. So 5 is full self-driving. What you want is you can get 90% of the result for much less cost if you shoot for kind of levels 2, 3 automation, where you're not trying to fully automate it, but you're just trying to take somebody's work and dramatically reduce it. And because every percentage point you go above a certain point, it gets exponentially harder to fully automate it. Just ask Tesla how long they have been close to full self-driving. They've been close for 5 years, and it's just really challenging to get those last few percentage points and edge cases to work out without actually maybe harming some of the other ones. They're playing whack-a-mole with issues in some ways. And there's some things that it's very, very hard for them to solve. The way it changes lanes is pretty poor and has been for a very long time. The data processing lens. Now, processing means a lot of things. There's a lot of different stuff you can do with data, and AI enables orders of magnitude more data processing. I'm talking 1000x. And so if you have large amounts of data that is a lot of manual time is spent pouring through, that's a good lens to look at for potential solutions. Brainstorming. This is another thing that in the MIT studies, one of the things that they showed was AI was really good at speeding up and enhancing the quality of brainstorming. At the beginning, you have a task set, and if you have brainstorming in it, you can do it a lot faster and better with AI. Boilerplate. This is also a lot of the coding that's useful for AI is boilerplate. So it's especially it's contextual boilerplate. Here is what I want to do. I know that it's basically already been done a million times in a million different ways, but the general problem has already been solved, and it's in its training set. and I don't want to have to think about some of that nuance. I'm just going to boom. And sometimes you can get like boilerplate code or boilerplate, templates of other things. This is a really great lens to look at things. Is there a fast start? It's similar to brainstorming, but not quite the same thing. It's just like, give me a template for this type of contract, not legal advice. And then also targeted answers. Google thinks of itself as like the answer engine for the world, but the problem is they give a bunch of different answers, and it can be a little bit confusing. And then there's only so many words you can put into that Google search bar. With this, you can put in a lot more context, and you can get one answer that comes out. Is it completely reliable? Probably not, but if you put in a really good input, it's pretty reliable for certain types of things, so you can get the exact answer you're looking for. Well, that's what I got. Thank you for watching. Contact us today for a free custom AI implementation roadmap. You can call this number here, 469-718-8442, or you can click the link below and reach out, and we'll build one of those for you. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye.